John Brown wrote all over being an abolitionist. Him and Frederick Douglass got together. They planned, they plotted. He did a lot of good things, and he's an icon, but he's an icon on the white side of town. So they said, we're going to try and hide his history, but they can't hide what God got out there for the world to see. But when all the dust settled, John Brown, troublemaker. And I can go all the way to Nelson Mandela. I can go to Paul Robeson. I can come back to Malcolm X. I can go to my brother that I love dearly and miss, Peter Norman out of Australia. Troublemaker for all of them. John Carlos, troublemaker. But then again, when you sit back and think about it, if you want to call him Allah, if you want to call him Jesus Christ, they called him a troublemaker. So when it's all said and done, you sit back and think to yourself, I'm in pretty damn good company. You don't hear about John Wayne. You don't hear about Liz Taylor. They had their day on the movie screen, their day is over. But those individuals that I mentioned before, they had their day walking this earth, and they lived strong and deaf than they did while they was alive. Because they stood for something. The same blood that they have is the same blood that you people in this audience right now have, because you fighting against the demons. You ain't getting rewards because people ain't coming to pat you on the back, tell you you're doing a good thing, because most people don't even understand what you're doing and why you're fighting. 44 years ago, I got involved in a fight. And when I see them occupy Wall Street or occupy the world, and I go up and tell them, I say, I'm here for you. Why am I here for you? Because I am you. I got involved in a fight 44 years ago, and the fight hasn't been won yet. I'm just glad to see the circles gotten bigger and people start to realize what I realized 44 years ago. See, it was blacks, minorities. We had the vision that it could be a better society. We had a concern about people losing their houses. Now, everybody losing their house all over the world. Everybody wondering, wasn't they going to foreclose on me? Even the police, the ones that's bringing tyranny to people, they concerned about them getting that letter in the mail too, till when they get ready to foreclose on their house. But you are the real warriors. You're the ones that down the line, they're going to step up and say, let me get in the picture with you. Let me take that picture with you. And you tell them, say, well, you got to show me whether you're qualified. Because if you allow them to get in the picture with you, you're lying about the history. History has to be told for the truth. I'm nobody special. Everybody applauded when I came in. I ain't down here for applause. I'm just like you. I wake up, I have pain, I have sorrow. The greatest thing that God gave me is love, love for humanity. It wasn't about a black power thing. You know, I had a black glove on. People say, oh, black power, black power. And I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm done, and we had some questions. We get with that. But let me tell you about the demonstration and how and why and where. A lot of people saw a fist, and the press picked that fist up and they ran with it. And they said, well, they say black power. Well, black power wouldn't come from being a fist. Black power would come from my athleticism, what I did on that track. That's black power. This fist wasn't a black power. And you look at any fist and you have to go beyond the fist and say, well, how does the fist come about? It's an open hand before there's a fist. These fingers on this hand represent all the ethnic groups on this planet. But they're separate right now. They think separately. One of them jumped down and said, man, you know, if we could move this pebble right here to the other side of the road over there, we could make a significant difference for humanity. And he's with it, man. He jumps down and he tries all day to push that pebble and he can't do it. And he comes back and somebody on the other side jumps down and says, man, I saw what you did wrong, man. You didn't put your legs into it. You got to put your legs and your shoulders into it. And he jumped and he can't do it. But when he comes back, a consensus come about all of them. Say, you know, if we put our minds together, we can solve any equation. Not only can we move that pebble, but we can move a mountain. And as they become together in unification, that becomes a very powerful force. Why do we have a black sleeve on it or a glove? Because it was the first time that we had the Olympic Games go in color, ever. Who do we want to represent first? I want to represent my race. Why? Because at that particular time, I knew my race better than I knew any race about what happened to black people in the United States. We always got ticketed for being the bad guy. We're the rapists, we're the muggers, we're the robbers, we're the five bugs, we're everything on the negative side. But when we be the heroes in the war, we don't get no headlines. We go back to the Olympic Games, we don't get the headlines. So we said, okay, for somebody doing something great at these Olympic Games, we want you to know we represent black people first. And then, America, we love you too. We represent you as well. That's what the black glove was about. Okay? Now, Mr. Smith had a black scarf on his neck. That was to show black pride. Proud to be a black man. I had beads on my neck. The beads that I wore on my neck was to signify the lynching that has taken place in the South. It's just like those individuals that was on the maiden voyage that came in, that was thrown overboard and nobody ever made the sign of a cross or said a prayer. Just like those individuals that was tarred and feathered in the South and hung in the South or murdered in the South. Let them know, we ain't forgot about you either. I had a black shirt on over my USA jersey. I had the black shirt on, although I love America. Why? Because I'm American. But I was ashamed of America as well. Why was I ashamed of America? Because America can have all the greatness that it had and expounded all over the world and told the world about how great America is. But America never one time tried to step up to the plate and resolve the issues that it had through slavery, through unfair housing, through unfair employment, through unfair medical, through unfair education, through the homicide that is taking place, and it's still being perpetrated every day. So I had the right to be ashamed of my nation. So I covered up the USA. And remember, I told you earlier how proud I was to get that USA jersey, how proud I was to get that bag. Well, as a young adult, I had to evaluate all that, and I felt ashamed. We went out there with no shoes on and black socks. Why did we go with no shoes? Because we had many people at a time and a space when we were taking the spaceship and loading it up with fuel and said we're going to land over here on the moon and land a half-mile from where they said they're going to land, but they tell me they can't kill a cockroach, or they can't kill a rat, or they can't stop poverty. I'm not buying that. You ain't buying it. Those were the symbols. The shoe that I took out there, I took the Puma shoe out there because the Puma shoe, when I was a kid, they gave me a job. When I went to Trinidad that first year, Trinidad, the Pan Am Airlines went on strike, I had to stay the extra time. My wife was pregnant. I was married my senior year in high school. And mind you, ladies and gents, my wife didn't get pregnant before we got married, she got pregnant after. I want y'all to think we had no shotgun wedding. Wasn't one of those. Okay? So when I lost my job, I went to the Puma people and I told them, I said, hey man, let me tell you something, I was running with your product, I need a job. They didn't even know who I was. They said, you need a job, okay, we give you a job. They put me in the stockroom. So I always remember them, because when I told them that these guys don't have money, they need athletic shoes, they had no problem giving to them. So I took that shoe out there as well. It didn't take 45 minutes, well, let's say it didn't take 46 minutes, because it did take every bit of 45 minutes to do that. It didn't take 2 weeks, a month, or 2 years leading up to the game for us to figure out how we was going to do what we was going to do. That vision that God gave me a prelude that it was going to happen. God took me to be with Dr. King 10 days before he died. 10 days. And that was like the last piece to the puzzle. To sit with Dr. King and have Dr. King tell me some things in the meeting about he was going to come out and support the Olympic boycott, just to certify to me that we was on the right track by proposing this boycott. And then in the clicks of the meeting, Dr. King made a statement that, John, they sent a letter, and in this letter they say they had a bullet with my name on it. I wouldn't have to wait. Well, I used to wear shades all the time when I was young, and they didn't dilate like they do now. And I remember when he said that, I said, wow, man, I got to talk to him about that. At the end of the meeting, he said, is there any questions? Dr. King, I got 2 questions. First question is, have you ever played any sports? He said, no, I can't shoot pool. I said to him, well, why would you get involved in the Olympic boycott? Why would you get involved in the Olympic movement, period? He said, that's a very good question, John. He said, imagine this. He said, imagine getting in a rowboat and going out to the largest lake that you can find. And you get out to the center of the lake and you pour the oars in and you just sit there and wait until everything is still and serene. So when everything get quiet, he said, then you reach down the boat and you pick up a rock and you reach over and you drop the rock. He said, what happens? That's where it creates vibration. He said, absolutely, it create waves. He said, do you know that that rock is that Olympic boycott? He said, that rock will send vibrations throughout that lake. Anyone in the lake would know that something's of amiss. He said, anyone on the shores of the lake would know something is amiss. That Olympic boycott is that rock. He said, and even greater, it would be a statement that would arouse everyone's attention, and it's a non-violent statement. I said, ooh, that's deep. Put that in the box. And then I asked him, I said to him, well, Dr. King, why would you go back to Memphis if they threaten your life? And this one I had to take my glasses off and pull them down on my nose because I want to look in his eyes. I don't want no glass between his eyes and my eyes. I look dead in his eyeballs. And what am I looking for? A man tell you that they threaten your life, you're supposed to see some shaky Dan in him. But he was solid as a rock. And all I could see in his eyes was love for humanity. And he said to me, he said, John, I have to go back to Memphis and stand for those that won't stand for themselves. And John, I have to go back and stand for those that can't stand for themselves. And that's a heavy statement. That's what I've been doing all my life. Standing for those that wouldn't stand for themselves and those that can't stand for themselves. That's what you guys are doing right now. About swimming upstream and everybody else going downstream. They don't know to stand for themselves. You have to stand strong until they realize that they're going the wrong way. And at the same time, I see a lot of youngsters in here. You got to get a lot more youngsters in here because we got a long fight ahead of us and we need strong soldiers to come back. But the bottom line is, remember, everything we do, excited, and not have you think so they can do what they did to the students in Mexico City. They killed a lot of young students in Mexico. They wiped it out. They didn't want you to know about it. Most people up here probably tell me, man, I didn't even know about this. Well, they killed close to 2,200 students. They told you they killed 380. They killed so many students until they took them and put their bodies in the furnace. And when they couldn't put no more in the furnace where they burned the trash, they took the rest of them out to the ocean and dropped them. So therefore, what I'm telling you is when you do something, you got to be methodical because they will try and set you up to get you in harm's way where they can gun you down and justify being gunned down. God bless you and thank you for having me.